Welcome, people. Today, I want to dive deep into a question that's as old as humanity itself. Does God exist? But listen, I just do not want to give you some textbook definitions. I want to share some of my personal reflections on this topic. And if you are like me, you have probably wondered about this question more than once. I do not know about you, but I do. I see people around me with beliefs, rituals, and practices. But for me, sometimes I would say this all feels like maybe all these beliefs, these ideas about God were created by humans as a way to give life a meaning and some hope. It makes some sense, right? See, throughout history, people have needed something bigger to look up to as a way to make some sense of this world, to feel less alone and to find unity among community and purpose. But does this necessarily mean God exists? Let's break it down. For those who truly believe in God, God becomes real to them in every way that matters. Their beliefs woven into their lives and even in some sense of purpose and even in their everyday actions. They believe in something greater and this belief drives them to follow certain practices and rituals. But for my parents, it sometimes means asking me to follow some kind of rituals, practices, some astrological advices they gave to me. Honestly, all that stuff feels very off to me. But who am I to say this right or wrong? They find a meaning in that, while I don't. And yeah, I know it leads to a lot of debates. And here is where things get interesting because people have all these sort of views on this. Some say yes, God exists, there is no question about it. And while others say no, there is no God. Life is totally random and it's meaningless. But there is a third group. They just say that we don't know. I don't know. For people who totally reject the idea of God, they sometimes end up taking one of the two paths. Either they live the life full of pleasures and what we call hedonism, where the life is all about engaging and enjoying the here and now, totally fully indulge into just pleasures and nothing else. Or on the other side, they fall in the trap of nihilism, where they believe that life has no meaning at all. But neither of these extremes feels right to me. I just do not want to live a life for just pleasures, nor I believe in that life has no meaning in itself. I feel there is something more, something worth discovering. But I would say I just do not know what. I believe that life does have meaning and it's worth living. But listen, I do not believe that I need to believe in some kind of ritual, some kind of practices to find that meaning. And now, as I more deeply reflect on this question of God, I am reminded of two profound thinkers who have unique perspectives on this, Osho and J. Krishnamurti. Osho once said that God is not a person, but a very energy of existence. Someone asked Osho, do he consider himself a god? And he replied, there is no God. And how can I consider myself a god? God is the greatest lie invented by man. Then the question arises, why? Because man feels helpless, so afraid of death, so burdened of life problems, because he has raised by a father, by a mother, and those were the beautiful days. No responsibility, no worry. Somebody was taking care of him. And that psychological childhood is projected in all the religions. Then God becomes a father, and there are few religions in which God becomes the mother too. See, this is nothing, just a simple psychological projection of a child, and it has no basis in reality. And whenever you are afraid, whenever you are in any trouble, you start seeking help. And we must note this thing, that no help ever comes. No help ever comes. And even Jesus on the cross was waiting for some kind of help to come. And finally he got disappointed and shouted, Father, have you forsaken me? A great doubt must have arisen in him. See, nothing is happening, and he was believing all these years that God will come to save him, his only begotten son. But nobody came. Jesus Christ must have died in uttermost delusion. And I do not have any illusion, and I can't be disillusioned. And then Osho also states that there is no creator / no God. Creation itself is enough unto itself. It needs no outside agency to create it. The moment you accept the outside agency to create it, you fall into a vicious cycle, because the reasoning behind it is how can existence be there without being created by someone? And that's the reasoning of all the religions. For once a while, if you accept their reasoning, and then the question arises, Who created the God? Who created him? And if God can be there without being created, then what is the problem? Then existence can be there without being created, right? You accept principally that there is something can be created without being created. So why without any point go from A to B and B to C and so on? And all those are just hypotheses. God A created God B created God C without any point. I feel the whole theology is just fucking nonsense. It begins with God. If you check the dictionary, you will find that theo means God and logi means logic about God. That is a total contradiction in terms. And after all that, somebody stated and asked, so creation itself is God, we are God, you are God, I am God, everybody here is God and the whole world is God. Somebody asked this to Osho and then Osho says, yes, if you want to use word God, there is no problem in that. But you will have to change the meaning. Because if donkey will be the God, better to drop that word. Because that word is dangerous. Like sometime when you are riding on a donkey, means you are riding on a God. Then someone random says that it is a force that gives us life and the energy. But Osho would like to call it nothing but just a pure consciousness. Pure consciousness. And I totally agree with him. And if you totally test with this word God, then it's better to name it as godliness. But do not make it a noun. Make it an adjective. Make it a quality. Godliness is perfectly okay. But why to make it a quality rather than a noun? Because the moment you make it a noun, you kill it. The moment you call it a noun, you stop its growth. Nouns do not grow, only verbs do. And now Krishnamurti on the other hand, urges us to question everything, including the concept of God. And I am in very much favor of this way of thinking. He believed that the truth is pathless land, something you must discover for yourself. Someone asked J. Krishnamurti to kindly give a straight reply, does God exist or not? And if yes, how can we best realize him in this life? J. Krishnamurti replied on this that man throughout history, from ancient Greeks to till now, hasn't had the idea of God. But he was not sure that whether in Upanishads mention the idea of God at all, or it's just a later invention. And yeah, you heard me right, he mentioned God as an invention. So what is God? Who invented God? I am not here to attack God, but just to investigate in the thing that people call as the God. Okay, did God invent us? Did God create us? God, who is omnipotent, means having total authority and having the ability to do everything. Or we can say eternal, means without any beginning or end. We heard all this, right? And we can also say omniscient, who know everything. And let's call him as merciful, because I heard all this. Just all goodness, right? That's all the concept of God that people made. And you probably have heard all this before, right? And again, if you say he, the God, has created us, then we are part of his image and we are a part of him, right? And that means we are too omniscient, generous, loving, right? And yeah, we are eternal too. If that's all true, then we are eternal too. But okay, you tell me, are we? Or do you think we are? Did you understand this? If God created you and I, he must be an extraordinary entity because he wants you to lead a terrible life, right? See, if God made you, why are you like this? If God made you, why are you like this? Tell me why. You and I must be an extraordinary human being. But in reality, the truth is, we are not. Beautiful, full of joy, excitement, full of delight, but we are not. So either we have created God or God has created us. But if you examine very closely, you will find out that you have created God. And in India especially, I was told that there are more than 300,000 gods and more. Every local person has its own God. And so that means we have created God. See the irony of it. Thought created God and then thought worshipped the image which thought itself has created, which is to worship oneself and call it God. Right? Did you understand what I am trying to convey? If you believe in God, that I call nothing more than a faith or belief, you are very much uncertain, are not you? So frightened to even question this thing. See, if you say, we have created God, then you are scared stiff. Because you have created that out of your fear. See, the thing is, out of fear, you created security. You want some kind of protection. But if you open your eyes, even for a while, you will realize that there is not any. See, you want safety, you want to feel like there is somebody looking after you, like a child because you are afraid. So you created that and you worship that. Wait a while, introspect a bit and see what are you doing. Going to some Tirupati temple, golden temple, XYZ place to worship and put all your money in a bag. Tell me, do you think God wants your money? See, you have nothing to offer but just money, garlands, prostrations, rituals, right? You have nothing else to offer. Have you realized the tragedy of this? See, if you love, not God, that's very easy to love God because it's an abstraction. It has no much meaning. Like your one-sided relationship. You would not go outside to look for God, right? You understand this? And if you ask me, do I believe in God? I don't. There is such a thing as eternity, which is to be outside of time. And for that, we must have a mind and a heart that is completely free from all the burdens of life. Got it? Understood? From your vanity, your arrogance, your selfishness, you follow right? And we say we are not capable of it. Tell me what to do. And you are back in the cycle. Somebody to tell you what to do. See, you are in a jungle. You have to walk through it by yourself. And for that, you need vitality, vigorness, and strength. Not something stupid belief in God and in godness. Remember this thing. Belief has no place where truth is concerned. Belief has no place where truth is concerned. Right? And I know many of you will be hostile because your beliefs are now attacked. I understand. See, you are not meeting the challenge, but you are just resisting it. You think there is something inside you which is permanent, which is the light of God, which is nameless, etc., etc. Call it Atman, soul, light, Divya Shakti, Bindu, whatever you call it. Right? That thing is inside you. In your conscience, in your brain, in your mind. Something which is not worldly. Something which is not of thought. Right? Many of you believe in that. Don't you? Just believe. What kind of brain are we having? Are not you even a bit curious to find out? Don't you want to question this thing even for a second? Don't you want to question? Don't you want to ask what are you doing? Why are you doing? What's the need of this? What's the purpose behind it? Don't you want to investigate in the truth of this matter? Don't you? Whether there is a soul, there is a Atman, whatever you like to call it. Just believe. What value has it? In my day-to-day life, what part does it play? I am miserable, I am confused, I am lonely, I am anxious, I am in agony. What is the point of having belief in that? What is the point? If I am free from all that, completely free, I shall find out. And the truth is something you cannot experience. It can't be told to you. And remember, the word is not that. The word God is not God. But if you live on words, it's that. You understood? The word is not that. It's like word tree is not the tree. The word is not that. But here people are satisfied with the word. You love with your heart, your mind, with everything you have. You love somebody. And then you tell me of that love. And then I accept your words. I have no problem in that. But the flower is not there. The perfume is not there. The feeling itself is not there. You see, people have leaders. Religious leaders, political leaders, and I do not know why. Why you have leaders at all? Whatever guru you have or had, one after other, and this country is full of them. Tell me, why do you even follow? Are you brainwashed or something? If once you realize that you are totally and entirely responsible for yourself, that you are in a jungle, literally in a jungle, where you have to make your own pathway out. There is nobody to lead you, there is nobody to save you. And the moment you depend on leaders, you become weak. If once you realize this in your heart, not just intellectually, but truly understand its core, then you are a man, a human being. So where does this all leave us? Well, I am okay with a bit uncertainty. I would totally reject this idea of God, but I am always open to hear different kind of opinions and perspectives. And that's it. I hope this video is worth watching. And I will see you next time. Till then, peace out.
Through this life is a nuisance, tie up some loose ends. I try to be human, find a solution, my evolution. A place like this, it didn't exist, we made it like this. So you can go pick the bad or the good, got a glass halfway. I know, it's easier to hide than just to lay low. Not everyone in life has got a halo. I'm standing in the red inside a pave.